Hey there, my name's Brendan. Welcome to Channel Alpine Bravo and this live stream. And for tonight's flight, we will be going from Pearson Field, Kilo Victor Uniform Oscar to Southwest Washington Regional, which is KKLS. And then our second leg will be from KKLS up to Nehalem Bay State, Nehalem Bay State, 3 Sierra 7. And then from there on to Seattle International, KSEA. Three leg flight in on air. First leg we're carrying cargo, approximately 1,900 pounds of cargo, construction equipment and dishwashers. So our first leg from Pearson Field up to Southwest Washington Regional is 32 nautical miles, should take approximately 30 minutes, according to the little nav map flight planner. Fuel required, just 62 pounds of fuel for the trip, but with our 45-minute reserve, that's 382 pounds block fuel. And we've got 746 pounds of fuel on board, which is just as well, because there is no jet fuel available at our current location at Pearson Field. And there is none available, despite the fuel truck sitting right there. You won't give me jet fuel. And then our destination, our first destination to Washington State. I remember from a previous flight there, it doesn't have jet fuel either. Hi there, if you just joined the stream. Just running through a quick briefing before set off on the first leg on this flight. The weather today is looking pretty nice. It is VFR conditions both here and there. There's no wind here at Pearson. Temperature is 7 degrees. Just a few clouds around. There's probably a bit more cloud actually than I was expecting. Certainly off to the east. But we should be able to go VFR all the way. Sunset is at 17:03 local, which is should about 5 hours from now. So plenty of daylight. Another destination. Equally VFR conditions, no wind, just a few clouds around at 1,000 feet. Some scattered at 4,400. Yeah, so should be able to do VFR all the way. Winds aloft coming from the north-northeast at about 12 knots. So a headwind. Our track will take us up the line of the Columbia River, and I'll just bring up little nav map now so you can see what our track looks like. So there we are at Pearson Field, just immediately on the other side of the Columbia River from Portland International. And we'll be following this direct track, following the line of the Columbia River on the Washington-Oregon state border. With no wind, we'll be expecting to come in for runway 30 at KKLS. Bit of terrain immediately to the east and south, so that does complicate the approach slightly. Field is only at 20 feet, so pattern altitude will be 1,000 feet. And that is pretty much the routing for the first leg. Welcome if you just joined the stream, just running through our pre-flight departure briefing. So we've already loaded the 1,800 pounds of cargo on board. We're giving us a takeoff weight of 6,638 pounds. We've got 746 pounds of fuel on board, and our center of gravity is 36.66, so that's pretty far aft. So we'll have to set our trims accordingly. Our VR at this weight of 6,638 pounds will be 60 knots, and our VREF will be 71, in case we have to come round for landing. And that pretty much is the briefing. We can start getting on with our departure checklist. We'll just hop outside the aircraft, do a quick look around. We'll see what runway we're given for departure. There's no wind here, so I'd expect us to be departing in that direction to the northwest. But we'll see what we get. Hey there, if you just joined the stream. Right, I've already completed the first part of the checklist. That's the cabin as well. Oh, hey there, I got a message. Hello from across the border in Vancouver, BC, Canada, and yesterday the Kodiak controls were rubbish, but today just fine. Well, yeah. If you have issues, I've done a series of tutorial videos, and part one does go into setting up the Kodiak controls, and yeah, I mean, sometimes you get bugs. I had a bug with the autopilot yesterday. Kept trying to kill me, and eventually it did, because it kept on putting me into a dive, and I kept on testing it to try and figure out why it was doing, and then eventually overstressed the aircraft. Right, so again, welcome if you've just joined the stream. This is my first time doing a proper stream since I've just been away skiing for 10 days, and it was fabulous, but I've forgotten everything about flying in the meantime, or it feels like I have. Right, we'll get on with our before starting engine checklist now. So, pre-flight inspection, weight and balance is complete. Passenger briefing, no passengers on board. Cabin doors are latched and secured. Master switch can go on. And avionics master on. Parking brake is set. Engine inlet will remain normal. No requirement to put it into bypass. So just initialize the MFD there. Let's see if we get the TOS system test okay. I never do seem to get it these days. Our fuel selector valves, left and right, are open, and our firewall fuel shutter valve is pushed. Urgency power lever is normal, throttle is in idle, prop is feathered, and condition lever is in cutoff. Our wing flaps are up, circuit breakers are in, max takeoff torque will be 1790 for the takeoff and 1680 for the climb out. Yeah. Perform an autopilot test. It's coming on, and we'll just put our CDI onto GPS. We'll get DME up, bearing 1 on nav 1 and bearing 2 on nav 2. Come back from that. Okie doke. Oh yeah, you should always have your belts on. Pretty bad if you crash. Right, and we don't have a pitch latch propeller blade, so we don't need to worry about that. Right, we can move on to our engine stream. Right, okay. Bus voltages, 24 volts minimum, 25 shown. Flashing beacon can go on, and just confirm my on-air is tracking. Emergency power lever, confirm normal, and it's no indication on the PFD. Prop area is clear. Auxiliary fuel pump can go on, and we're going to go for a low motor start, so igniters can go on and starter to low. I'm doing all this with external devices, which is why you not see me doing it in the cockpit. Okay, monitor NG, that's it already up at 19, so I can introduce the fuel. Monitor ITT, got 111 fuel flow, temperatures and pressures rising. Okay, ITT peaked at 571. Can bring the prop out of feather, and starter can go off, igniters can go off, auxiliary fuel pump can go into standby, alternators and generators can go on, nav lights can go on, taxi lights can go on. Yeah, the pitch latch is implemented for it's only in the float version, the Kodiak. It is also in the Kodiak 3 series in real life, but not in the 2 series, which is what we have here. Just going to pop this monitor out, screen out onto a separate monitor. Right, okie doke. So that was a good engine start. We'll just bring our test our oxygen, flying at 4,000, so we should need that. Test the ELT. Okay, that's all good. Right. Okie doke. Time to speak to ATC. Well, first we'll get the automated weather. Oh, I know what's going on here. Bet you I have the co-pilot flight assistant active, messing around with the radios.
Kilo Victor Uniform Oscar, automated weather observation 20000. Wind 235 at 5.
235 at 5.
Visibility 10. Sky condition 2,200 feet, scattered 5,000 feet scattered. Temperature 8C, 2.10 C, altimeter 3051.
3051 for the altimeter. I'll do that now. We'll right, then we want to, for north departure.
Portland ground November 499er 3 kilo, ready to taxi departure to the north.
November 499er 3 kilo taxi to and hold short of runway 8 via taxiway Alpha Alpha 4. Contact tower on 119er decimal 0 when ready.
Okay, so we've got runway 8, which isn't ideal, but we will take it.
Taxi, hold short runway 8 via taxiway Alpha Alpha 49er 3 kilo.
Okie doke, welcome if you joined the stream. I've got 6 viewers at the moment. It's definitely the highest I've ever had when I've been live, so feeling the pressure now. Our taxi checklist, our brakes are checked, our flight controls position for the wind direction, so 235 is off to our port side at the minute, our left side, but it's only 5 knots, so I'm not really worried about that. Okie doke, so put the toe brakes on. And let's pop the head tracking on. I'm going to watch out for that fuel truck there and the pushback cart, so I think I'm actually going to start my taxi. And I'm going to turn to the right. Pretty heavy. 6,600 pounds, so it takes a bit more to get going. So just get it rolling and then get it into beta. Just maneuver around. Whoa! It's a big stutter. So it really does make a lot easier handling the Kodiak if you are able to taxi in beta range. You can see I've got it in beta down there. Okay, well I'm on alpha now. Someone has parked another Kodiak there, inconveniently. Try not to hit him with my wing. Or can I come round behind him? I'm going to go in the grass if I have to. I'm a Kodiak after all. Yep, going on the grass. I'm not actually on the taxiway Alpha, am I? Well, I'm not on anything at the minute, I'm on the grass. Okay, this is Alpha here. You get more rolling resistance when you go on different surfaces, which is quite cool. Okay, bring it back into beta. You know, I've gone to runway 26, not 08, because that's where I wanted to go. That's where my brain told me, my subconscious said go to 26, but ATC told me go to 08. What am I going to do? Should I backtrack? Or should I just like fly out the way that I want to fly? Because I'm not on that sim. Well, time is money. Put the parking brake on. See, it won't give me the takeoff clearance. No, I'm getting a takeoff clearance.
Portland Tower, November for 9er 3 Kilo at runway 8 ready for departure, north departure.
November 49er 3, kilo altimeter, tree 0.51, wind 235 at 5. North departure approved. Cleared for takeoff runway 8.
Cleared for takeoff runway 89er 3 Kilo.
Well, okay. I lied. But there we are. Right. Enough of that. Let's concentrate on our before takeoff checklist. And our parking brake is set. Seatbelts and shoulder harness locked and secured. Pop the inertial lever on now. Flight controls. Yeah, that's right. That placard is not default. That is an add-on, a free add-on from Microsoft Flight Sim, FlightSim.to. If you check out some of my other videos and comments, there is a link to it. Auxiliary fuel pump on. It is SOP. I don't like putting it on because I don't like the noise it makes. Fuel selectors. Left and right are on, firewall is pushed, wing flap set for takeoff, 20 degrees for normal. Yep, oh really, okay, it's always worked fine for me, just it might depend on what livery you're using. Okay, elevator trim is pretty crucial. I'm going to give it plenty down because I'm very aft CG, probably not quite as much as that. Xbox, yeah, I feel for you guys who are on Xbox, you just don't have the same choices really. So that's our putting our rudder trim. I'm starting to put more and more rudder trim these days. Engine inlet can remain normal. Power lever. Alright, I'm not going to do the run-up checks. Okay. Pitot-static heat can remain off. Avionics are checked and set. Our transponder, well, we're just squawking 1200, but we'll put it into mode Charlie. CDI is set. Our strobes can go on. Taxi's off. Landing lights on. Condition lever can now go to high idle. Okay, that's our takeoff checklist complete. We already have our clearance. I'll just pop the toe brakes on, put the head tracking back on, give everything that final check, and we'll just get ourselves lined up. Now, of course, it's moving very quickly. Now it's in idle. I'll get lined up and then I'm going to set up my autopilot and flight director. Okay, let's bring the throttle back into idle. Let's set a target altitude of 4,000, which will be our cruise for this first leg. That's actually probably a bit high for 30 nautical miles, but we'll see. Right, and we're going to set flight level change mode, and we're going to dial that up to 88 for the climb out. We'll go up to 101 for the en route climb. Sync the heading bug, put it in heading mode, and that should be us all set up. Let's pop the head tracking off for takeoff. Okay, so we'll set takeoff power. It's a relatively short runway this, so I will set takeoff power and then release the brakes.
Portland Tower, Alaska, 649er, 12 miles east inbound ILS runway, 28 left approach. Alaska,
And do the thing I always forget to do, which is start the timer.
decimal 51, wind 235 at 5. Cleared ILS runway, 28 left approach.
Okay, give it a bit more.
Cleared ILS runway, 28 left approach.
16,
Alaska,
17,
649er.
yeah, that'll do. Okay, release the parking brakes. Speed's alive.
Portland Tower, Alaska, 2356 at runway 28 left, ready for departure. IFR to Boise.
16 knots, rotating.
Alaska 2356, altimeter 30, decimal 51,
Go.
wind 235 at 5.
Okay, we'll try and climb out at 88.
28 left.
We'll drop the nose a little bit. Pitch up a bit.
Cleared for takeoff runway 28 left, Alaska 2356. Niner Tree Kilo, continue for non-departure.
Portland Tower, November for 9er 3 Kilo, continue for north departure.
Okay, there's 500 feet. ASL, so take the first notch flaps out. And we'll let it accelerate up now to 95, and we'll take the second notch out. Start thinking about picking up our track. There's 96, second notch. We'll take out our track and we'll bring up the
Alaska 649er, wind 235 at 5.
flight level change to 101 knot.
Runway 28 right. Clear to land runway 28 left.
We'll just climb in the turn. Try and get it trimmed out.
Clear to land runway
Okay,
28 left.
auxiliary fuel pump can go into standby, landing lights can go off. Bit of heat. Visible moisture, yeah. Flattening into a bit of cloud here. So that's us on a good intercept with our track. We'll on nav mode, sync the heading bug.
Niner Tree Kilo, leading my airspace frequency change approved.
Okay, get a frequency
Portland
change.
Tower, November for 9er 3 Kilo, frequency change. Portland approach November for 9er 3 Kilo is type 3 miles northwest of Kilo Victor Uniform Oscar, 2,800 feet. Request flight following.
November for Niner Tree Kilo, Portland approach. Squawk 2504.
2504 in the squawk. my 200-foot tone. Latest little modification I made.
Roger, Niner, 3 Kilo.
Okay, and there it says picked up our track. Shot a little bit. We took out some of that rudder trim, now we're at cruise altitude. Take it all out, in fact. Pop our yaw damper on. Okay, you can bring the torque back, already 160 knots. Bring the prop back to 2000.
Niner tree, Kilo, contact Portland, approach on 124.35. Good day.
124.35 Niner, 3 Kilo.
So we'll get the prop down to 2000, and there it is, should be just 2000 there. Try and get myself trimmed, and then we'll adjust. What are we at? Torque is 1400. That'll do, actually. I'll leave it at that. Just let it settle down. Zero the rudder trim. So what are we at? 151 knots. So we're just going to follow the line of the Columbia River. See, there's some shipping traffic on it. Hey there, welcome if you've just joined the stream. Just on the first leg of 3. Just trying to get it trimmed out. It's very difficult to get Kodiak. It's actually difficult to get any aircraft properly trimmed in Microsoft Flight Simulator, particularly with live weather. Just going to pop the other. No. Right, so we've got the pilot on. Give me a chance to do some other bits and pieces. Yeah, there's this bits and pieces of low cloud around. It's not really VFR, or IMC I should say. Let's have a bit of top of descent. I do have a top of descent. Okay, so I was able to use spad.next to make a couple of modifications, things you can get in the Kodiak as standard. I've got the 200 foot tone now, so when you're coming within 200 feet of the target altitude you get that tone, which is what you get in the real G1000. Yep, absolutely. And the other thing I managed to try and do, it works, it doesn't work all the time yet, I'm fine tuning it, is the vertical track annunciation when you're coming up on top of descent. It'd be really nice if they implemented these in the aircraft as standard. Yeah, it can't be that difficult, surely. The other thing I never get is a minimums call out when I set minimums, which you should. Again, I don't know whether that's a bug on my end or whether that's just not been implemented. Oh, well, cruising along rather nicely. 153 knots. We've got 573 ITT, NG89. What's our fuel flow? 319 fuel flow. It's good efficient. Speed, I don't want to go too quick as well because, you know, it's a very short flight. Looking pretty clear up ahead. Okay, just pop off the head tracking for now. I've got a frequency change, which I missed.
November for 9er 3 kilo 4,000 feet.
November 49er 3 kilo Portland approach altimeter 30.50 continue as planned. Portland departure southwest.
So you will get already in the G1000 NXI, it will flash green when you're coming within 1,000 feet of your selected target altitude. It will flash green on the flight annunciator panel at the top there of the PFD. But what you don't get is when you're coming up to the altitude capture at 200 feet. Oh, we've got vertical track. So that's telling me I'm coming up on Todd. Which is good. I'm not going to use VNav today, I'll take it down using VS. Okay. Well, there was the 200 foot tone because I hadn't actually set a new target altitude. So we'll set it for 1,000 feet, which is pattern altitude. And we'll put in 900 feet per minute. Put in 900 feet per minute. It's a bit late. Yeah, so the Todd enunciation that I got there, the vertical track, that is something I have done specifically. I used spad.next, which is a third-party driver software. What I did was I managed to grab the sample sound clip from a real G1000 NXI and then created a little bit of script so that when I'm coming up to Todd, it will play that sound, but I'm doing that outside of the simulator. It's not included in either the G1000 NXI by working title or the Kodiak. So it was a fun little project to do. Okay, now automatic weather station is 135.075, so I'll get that up on COM 2. I have to lose. Go into tower very shortly.
Kilo Tango Delta Oscar automated weather observation 2000 wind calm visibility 10 sky condition
Ooh, sports at speed.
temperature 60 dew point 10 C altimeter 3051.
Well, I wouldn't claim to be a programmer, but the spad.next is quite easy to use. I figured it out. Well, that's not it's the right frequency, but I'm getting the wrong right tune. Traffic. Runway for landing, so we're going to land runway 30. Full stop. Position.
Kilo Lima Sierra traffic November for 9er 3 kilo 6 miles south 1,600 feet inbound to land runway 30.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring the autopilot off now. Air tracking back on. Prop to max. Landing lights on. Fuel pump on. Now the field should be in the loop of that river there. What I'm going to do is follow this road, then I'll turn to final. So there's 136, pop my first notch of flaps. Put the flight director off because it just confuses me. Second notch flaps. This is where you gotta watch your airspeed like a hawk. Third notch flaps. Try and get it at 85 knots and then until I turn the final, and then bring it down in. There's the field there. So I'm a little fast. So that's me losing speed now. So BREF was 71, so we pitch for 71. I think 500.
Kilo Kilo Lima Sierra traffic November for 993 Kilo is on final runway 30 to land.
So trying to control the speed with the pitch and the sync rate with the throttle. I'm a little fast, so pitch up a little bit. This is where trimming the aircraft is vital. It's a wind check, a little bit of left-hand crosswind, 70 knots, pitch down. This is a laughed seat center of gravity I've got. Whoa. Okay, fev the prop. Not fev the prop, bring the throttle to beta. Bit of braking. Wing flaps can go up. Condition lever can go to low idle. Auxiliary fuel pump can go to standby. Strobes and landing lights off. Okay, just stop here and some clear
Kilo
of the
Kilo
runway.
Lima Sierra traffic November for 993 Kilo is clear of the runway.
Work out where I'm gonna park. So the parking appears to be kind of straight ahead or off to the left. Go off to the left. I'm gonna park next to a volocopter. So flaps are up, fuel pumps off, landing lights off, good heats can go off. Back into beta. This is the taxi. Yeah, that was it. I let the airspeed drop too low on the landing. It got down to about 66 knots as it was over the threshold, and because I had so much aft centre of gravity, it started yawing. It's never, that's a really big warning, danger sign when you get that. So it was not a great landing. And the reason my centre of gravity is so far aft is 1800 pounds of cargo, and I've got seats I didn't load the cargo into the seat zones. Which made it difficult to get a good centre of gravity. Okay, parking brake is on. Yaw damper, left that on as well. Right, throttle can go to idle, prop can go to feather. Condition lever is already, just let it spin down. Let the ITT stabilise. And condition lever to shut off. Let the engine shut down. I'll turn the aircraft off. Nav lights can go off. Pop the climate control off. Beacon can go off. Avionics master, alternators and generators, and the master battery, and we'll pop the doors. Yeah, you can see. That's why my centre of gravity was so tricky. It's absolutely rammed full of boxes at the back. Right, well, that was leg one. Ooh, On Air rated it as a very smooth landing. Well, yeah. 60 knots at 36 foot per minute. Yeah, however, it wasn't really that great. So I'll just start to get the next cargo loaded on, which is going to be 5. What do we have? We're already waiting for us. It's 5 executives. We're taking to 3 Sierra 7, which is Nehalem Bay State, which is 50 nautical miles. So it'll take a little bit longer. Well, I can't really blame. I don't like to blame anything apart from myself for bad landings. It wasn't a bad landing, but it could have been better, particularly when I've got an audience. Problem is with those short hops is just you've barely taken off and you've sort of hardly caught your breath, and then you're having to get ready to land. Okay, On Air is telling me that I've offloaded that cargo and I can load my next cargo on. Now then, so weight and balance. There's no, as I suspected, there's no jet fuel available at this airport, so I'll just be flying with the fuel I've got, which should be fine. Well, it is fine. So we've got 5 executives coming on board, and On Air gives each passenger a weight of 190 pounds, which includes their hand baggage. So there are 5 loaded on, and if I click fly now in On Air, so it says I'm due 626. It's funny. So On Air's expectation of what fuel I've got differs from the sim. So it says I should have 626 pounds of fuel. So 626 would be 300 and what? 313 left and right. Well, I could have done without losing fuel, but right, that's On Air is happy with that. So what weight is that giving us? 5,716, and a centre of gravity of, it's still pretty far aft, it's not as bad as it was, it's 32.4. Okay. You see, the fifth passenger shows as a pile of boxes in this model. It'd be nice if you could, if I could get a version of the interior that allowed for 6 rows of seats, but that's not possible at the moment. So the next thing I need to do is just get my flight plan amended in Little Nav Map. So we are going from KKLS to 3 Sierra 7 on this leg. And we will create a flight plan for that. And our minimum safe altitude will be 3,000 feet, so we will cruise at 4,000 feet. Bit longer, 50 nautical miles. It's telling me it should take 15 minutes. The fuel report saying I should use 94 pounds of fuel for trip, and block of 414, which is with our 45-minute reserve. So we'll be flying over some quite mountainous terrain, heading down to the bay. I think I've landed here before. It's a 2,319 foot asphalt strip, single runway, 3315, at an elevation of 30 feet. Oh yeah, I remember the last time I tried to land here. It was an VFR and it was really challenging. Okay, fine, right, well that's all of that done. We'll just check the METAR at 3 Sierra 7. I'm not going to get a TAF because it's so close. METAR's probably more useful. Nehalem Bay, VFR, no wind, 10 nautical mile visibility, no ceiling, altimeter 30.51. Well, that's perfect conditions. And what's the temperature actually? Temperature is 10 degrees, dew point 3. Fine. That's good. Okie doke. I'll hop back in and start getting on with this leg. Oh, I'll just calculate my takeoff torque. So I'm at sea level. Outside temperature is less than 10, so it'll be 1740 foot-pounds for takeoff, 16, which means 1680 for the climb. And weight was 5716, so we'll take 5800 as the closest, so VR 56 knots, VREF 66. Right, we'll get the doors closed. Something else I've been able to do is set up switch bindings for the doors, because it's really awkward trying to close the rear door. And let's start working through our checklist. Yeah, I'll have to sort out the flight plan in the G1000 when I come to that. Before starting engine checklist. Weight balance is complete, passenger briefing is complete, do what you're told. There you go, it's complete. Cabin doors are latched and secured, seatbelts and shoulder harnesses are secure. Master switch can go on, master avionics on, and we'll initialize the MFD. What I'm going to do straight away is bring up flight plan and menu, and we're going to delete this flight plan that is in it. I'm going to pop in a new one. And so how we do that is, so it's kilo KKLS is where we were at, so gone too far. I'm not having a good night tonight. KLS, there we go, Southwest Regional, and we're going to take off runway 30, so accept that, and we are going to 3, so I want to go 3, 3, and it was Sierra. Seven. There we go. And Bay runway 33. It's just a better approach. There's no wind. I'll be able to pick it myself. That's good. So we've got our flight plan loaded in, and with a magenta line shows it's active. And just to confirm, 50 nautical miles. Right, so parking brake is set, engine inlet can remain in normal, fuel selectors should still be open. Oh no. No, they are open. There we go. Left and right open, firewall, fuel still pushed. Emergency power lever is normal, throttle's idle, prop is favored, condition lever is cut off, wing flaps are up, circuit brakes are pushed, cabin heat is off. Takeoff torque limit is determined, autopilot, I'm not going to test that as we've already tested it today. Pitch latch, not equipped. Right, so we can go for high engine start now, as this is our second flight of the day. One thing we need to watch is our residual ITT, and that's down at 46, so shouldn't be any issue there. We're going to go for a high start, so igniter is not required. So auxiliary fuel pump can go on, ignition switch not required, starter switch to high. Starter on and indicated, NG rising, zero fuel flow shown, so that's NG above 14. Introduce the fuel, monitor ITT, temperatures and pressures rising. ITT spiked at 590, well, didn't spike, peaked, so prop can come out of favour, starter can go off, auxiliary fuel pump to standby, alternators and generators on, nav lights on, and flashing beacon, and our taxi lights can go on. See what the
Kilo Kilo Lima Sierra, automated weather observation, 2100 Zulu. Wind, calm. Visibility, 10. Sky condition, ceiling 2,200 feet, broken. Temperature, 8C, dew point, 10C, altimeter, 3051.
okay, our altimeter set. I'm not seeing any sign of that ceiling at 2,200. It looks pretty sunny out there. Not much ceiling to be seen.
Ceiling 2,200 feet, broken. Temperature, 8C, dew point.
Okay. We'll select a runway for takeoff, 130, and we're going to announce our taxi.
Kilo Kilo Lima Sierra traffic November for 9er Tree Kilo is taxiing to runway 30.
Okay, I'll just pop our climate control on. Don't need to test oxygen, don't need to test TLT. Already tested them. Prop to max. Right, taxi. Parking brake is off. Toe brake's tested. Bring the prop forward. Let's put the head tracking on now. So prop and bait it. Just check out the windsock, so that does show that the wind is calm. The windsocks are much underrated in Microsoft Flight Simulator. They're really good source of bang up to date weather information. Get a good idea of gust frequency from them. Knots. So we'll just set our target altitude of 4,000. While we're taxiing down. We'll set our flaps as well. Armed FLC mode. We'll set that to 88 knots for the climb out. Is any traffic coming? We're going to be going to the west.
Kilo Lima Sierra traffic November for 9er 3 Kilo taking off runway 30 west departure.
To the condition lever to idle now. Strobes and landing lights are on. Type lights can go off. Set our takeoff trims. Let's get lined up and I'll do that. Put parking brake on while I do that. So, takeoff trim. Yeah, that's actually fine. And rudder trim is in. So we'll just final check round. Prop and condition lever are good, flaps are good, trims are good, fuel is good. Sync the heading bug. So we'll climb out 500 feet. There is terrain ahead, and then we'll start our turn to pick up our track to the southwest. This is a track of 225. Okay. Didn't remember to stop my timer when I landed. We'll reset it now. It should only take about 3 minutes to climb up to 4,000 feet. Right, parking brake can go off. The brakes are engaged. Set takeoff torque. Get our transponder on as well. Okay, that's 1680, that'll do, because that's our climb torque. Speed's live. There's 57, rotate. And here we are. So pitch for 88.
Seattle Center November for 9er 3 Kilo is type 1 miles northwest of Kilo Kilo Lima Sierra 300 feet.
I didn't know how that happened.
Request flight following.
The old co-pilot is back.
November for 9er 3 Kilo Seattle Center.
Okay, there's 500. I'll just let him do what he's gonna do.
Squawk 5072 9er 3 Kilo.
So there's 85, yeah, or
9er 3
plus
Kilo
10.
radar contact 1 mile northwest of Kilo Kilo Lima Sierra 900 feet. Altimeter 30.51.
Roger 9er 3 Kilo.
Slide the accelerator up to 95. Take out the second notch flaps and we'll begin our turn. To the left, this is the Lewis and Clark Bridge. I'm trying to fly right over it. Did a lot of flying in this area. It's a pitot heat warning, not required. Since 2,100 feet. So we'll just turn to pick up our track. Try and get a good view of the Lewis and Clark though. Pop down to 2,000. Landing lights can go off. Turn my auxiliary fuel pump on. I always forget to do that. Remain in standby. There's the Lewis and Clark.
Flare 1889er, contact Seattle Center on 126.6. Good day. Alaska 1257, contact Seattle Center on
Okay, we'll put the
126.6. Good day.
flight level change to 101 knots. In fact, we'll make it 115 for a bit of a more comfortable climb out.
Good day.
Arm nav mode.
126.6 for flare 1889er.
Some heading bug.
9er 3 Kilo, contact Portland, approach on 124.35.
There's our 200 foot tone.
126.6 for southwest 219er 6.
And there's nav mode kicking in.
124.35 for 9er 3 Kilo. Portland approach November for 9er 3 Kilo 4,000 feet.
Oh, Oro 5 flying aim, yeah. Ooh, okay, I will give that a go. I like bush, yeah, I've had a lot of fun flying it in the Rogue Valley as well. Okay, can take the rudder trim out now. Yeah, I really like flying in the Pacific Northwest and California. Although I will be doing some flying in Nepal when the weather improves over there. I set up an FBO over in Nepal and do some mountain ops over there. So I don't know how the co-pilot got activated again. It keeps on doing it. I turn it off and then it turns itself on again. But anyway, prop is bring it down to 2,000, bring the torque down to about 1350 is what I like to cruise at. Get the old damper on. It's picking a few doesn't stop so quickly, does it, the Baron? I mean, I do get kind of nervous taking the Kodiak into strips less than 1,000 feet, particularly if they're surrounded by trees or terrain. It can be quite tricky because it's really easy to float it. So just try and get it trimmed out. Torque is 1350. See, the trim in Microsoft Flight Simulator it's just wrong. Once you get trimmed, it should hold that, even with little gusts and bumps. Okay, we're trimmed. Hands off. See, we're getting that little roll to the left. Now I could put in a little bit of right aileron to counteract that. But I'll put the autopilot on instead. So I can enjoy the view a bit. The weather's better than I thought it was going to be, given it's January. I was flying up near Vancouver in December in the Puget Sound area, and it was just, the weather was really bad. Anyway, so prop is good, throttle's good, condition lever is okay, yep. My annunciators are good. What fuel flow am I getting here? 310. Prop can come down just a fraction, there we go. ATP sitting nicely. 36 miles to run. 14 minutes it's saying. Yeah, I wish they were able to get a little bit more information onto the G1000 screen here. One thing I really would be nice to have is ETE here, which I think you get on the real unit. Now I've not tuned my... oh, there he is. He's always there, always sitting there watching. That's why I don't have co-pilots anymore. They refuse to fly because this guy's always sitting behind them. Let my ghost co-pilot carry on handling that.
November 49er tree, Kilo Seattle Center altimeter, tree 0.50 continue as planned.
Okay, a bit of altimeter change there. Not by much. Just gonna have a quick look at the VFR chart. Our next leg after this is all the way up to Seattle International, KSEA. Because for once I actually got a decent paying job up to a big airport, because normally On Air only gives you decent paying jobs to little airports. I'm being a bit nervous about flying into size 1 and size 0 airports in the, because you know quite often they're covered in dirt and they're covered in snow, and you know you can't really land on them. Been caught out a few times. I'm also hoping that there is going to be some fuel available at this airport. I'm going to check that out now. And I should be alright if there isn't, but yeah, I'm not getting any information from On Air. Well, thanks for all the comments, though, guys. It's really nice seeing that. I mean, I do stream these live and record them for view on demand later, but yeah, it's really good having that interaction as I'm doing it. And I don't know if any of you have been watching the tutorial videos that I've been doing. Yeah, I think with the G1000 you can change the information on the MFD, but I haven't found a way of changing, so you can select what these four values here you can change. but I haven't found a way of changing them on the PFD here, which is what I would like. So if you go to, let me see, yeah, if you go to this page here, you see you've got the MFD data bar fields here. Those are the things you can change, but not the other on the MFD. Get our map back. What are you doing? I'm turning the wrong knob. I definitely like using the relative terrain display on the MFD as well, and on the inset map here. So it just gives you that instant. I think it makes it easier to see other information, whereas if you use the normal sort of one where it's all the browns and yellows, it can be quite hard to pick information out in the background. But this immediately tells you, you know, when you've got terrain that is going to be a risk. You know, yellow, take notice of that, and the red is dead. So you was watching out for the red. Okay, what's the map saying?
Southwest 1939er, contact Seattle Center on 125.8. Good day. Going to 125.8 Southwest 1939er.
One of the cool things with Old Nav Map as well is you can, after every flight, you can improve the accuracy by, it will take the data that it's collected during the flight about rate of descent and fuel consumption and things like that, and you can build up a profile for your aircraft, and it'll get more and more accurate if, you know, if you're flying in fairly standardized manner. One thing I'm going to do, which I didn't do the last time, but I will set up a visual approach, and we'll go for a visual on 3.3, and we will do it on vectors, set some minimums.
Good day.
200 there, and we'll load it, but we're not going to activate it yet.
125.8 for Alaska Tree 351.
Just a little bit of thin cloud here, I can see through it. So air temperature is 1 degree. Let's pop the pitot heat on. So we can see what should be our bay up in the distance. The field is just going to be on that spit of land. You can see. Did we get our top of descent? No, we did not. Right. Okay, we will start descending now. So we'll set a target altitude of 1,000. BS, and we'll start going down at 700 feet per minute. Let's pull back in the throttle a little bit. And I'm going to go into heading mode and start giving myself some vectors over towards that approach. The other great thing about Little Nav Map is there are so many different map layers that you can get on it. You've got the US VFR sectionals, but I really like things like you've got Google Maps, satellite and terrain layers. The satellite map is really useful for bush flying because you can see whether there are going to be trees or stuff like that, which you won't get from other sources. And also, you know, you can pick out features like buildings and roads and stuff a lot better. Basically, with this, just keeping an eye, because I am descending down in towards terrain. I'm going to bring the VS up to 400 feet per minute. Don't want to get, yeah, see, we're just starting to get yellow in front of us there. Right, let's get rid of the ghost co-pilot at this point. Don't know how that got turned back on, but we will cancel our flight following.
Seattle Center 903 Kilo, cancel flight following.
Let's get this ridge line in front of us. Okay, squawk 1200 back to VFR. But we will keep an eye all the time on this terrain in front of us. Okay, I'm just going to flatten out the descent until I clear this ridge line. Oh yeah, I agree. Little Mavnat, I cannot believe it's freeware. It's so good. I mean, you know, the guy deserves a medal for doing it. Okay, we've cleared that ridge line. I'm bringing the descent rate down again. So the field, somewhere on that spit of land there. So I'm just flying to the south of it to give myself a bit of a longer approach than I had on the last one. And I'm going to take the yaw damper off now and bring the autopilot off. I should normally leave the yaw damper in for longer, but if I don't, I'll forget. Bring the prop forward to max RPM. I'll just help slow me down a bit. Let's get the head tracking on again. I guess I should tune traffic.
Vertical track.
Okay, well that's a bit late.
Tree Sierra 7 traffic November for 9er 3 Kilo 3 miles
Getting a TOS there. If I carry on this track, it should give me a 3-mile final. 39 knots. So that's a bit of red creeping up on us there. From 38, gonna put my first notch flaps, slowly fuel pump on, landing lights on, and fuel selectors are good, firewall is pushed, and I'll leave the inertial separator normal. I think I've got the field up there. Okay, popping that second notch flaps now. In fact, we could go for flaps 3 already. But we're a little far out yet, so watch the speed. Now, see, I think I've got the field in sight. I think that's a road. Field, don't tell me it's there. Oh, it's there. Okay, flaps 3. Oh, pretty high. So I'm getting vertical track again because it's recalculating different tops of descent.
500.
Just 500 wind check. 3 knots in the nose, 1 from the right. 72 knots. Good for speed. Your speed like a hawk. Kodiak. See there, down to 69. Sorry, we had a VREF of 67. So that's what we call a flat landing. Oh look, some part in F18 here, well, in beta. Flaps up. Pump can go to standby. There's fuel here. I'm going there. Additional lever can go to low idle. To get it a bit closer before it activates the fuel screen. Should see him clear the runway as well, shouldn't I? fuel screen. Right, we'll minimise that for now. Well,
Tree Sierra 7 traffic November for 9er Tree Kilo is clear of the runway.
okie doke. Yeah, the pop-up. Well, I hardly ever go to a fuel station. Normally take a parking spot, but I am after fuel. I wonder if this means I'll be able to get it in on air. Right, anyway, okay. Parking brakes are on. Fev the prop. Landing lights can go off. Strobes can go off. Nav lights can go off. Pitot heat's off. And let ITT stabilize, and there's cutoff. Turn the climate control off. Pull the firewall fuel shut off. Fuel selectors off. Okay, alternators and generators off, flashing beacon off, avionics master off, master battery off, and we can pop the doors. And that is leg 2. So we'll get the cargo unloaded. So that was a landing at. It was a very flat landing. It came on. It came up on me a little bit quickly. Didn't really flare that much. 154 feet per minute at 65 knots. Okie doke. How much fuel burned according to this is 144 pounds. And the nav map said it would need 94 for the trip, so that's obviously quite a bit more. Alright, well, thank you very much for watching so far, and really appreciate you taking the time to join the stream. Really good. And yeah, you know, work gets in the way. Right, well, let's get the next cargo loaded up, and it's another 5 executives. And this is to Seattle Tacoma International, a big airport, with Olympia Regional as our alternate. So I'm not going to have to change much on the weight and balance at right, and I'm being told that there is no jet fuel available at this field either. Gosh, I'm glad I had plenty of fuel on board. So this is obviously only providing avgas, no jet fuel. The weight and balance is going to be identical though, because it's oh no, it's only 3 packs this time. Great. Okay, he can come out. Oh no. It's one right, it's the creeper. Can take him out, right? There's 3 packs. What's that gonna give me? Takeoff weight of 5526. 526 at the center of gravity of 29.32, which is just slightly after the center. This is our lightest leg of the trip. It was those dishwashers on the first leg that was really making landing tricky. Okay, that's the weight and balance. Right, hop back into the cockpit here, and I'll just go and set my flight plan up on Little Nav Map. So we are going from 3 Sierra 7 to KSEA. This is 125 nautical miles. And fuel report, we're still looking at slight northerly headwind when we're aloft. Our minimum safe altitude is 4,000 feet. We're heading east, so we'll cruise at 5,000 on this leg. "47 minutes for this one, a bit of a longer one, a bit more of a chance to relax and enjoy the scenery." Our track will be taking us again over this Olympic National Forest and coming into Seattle, Tacoma from the south, and given the wind direction, I imagine they will be landing on the 3-4 runways, and I'll want 3-4 left ideally for general aviation parking. Okie doke, that's the flight plan set up in a little nav map. I'll just check the weather at Seattle, but I think it is looking pretty good there as well. So it's VFR 4 knots from 220, 10-mile visibility. It does say there's a ceiling at 5,000 broken. We'll see what it's like when we get up there. I might duck under that, and scattered at 2,300, and the pressure is the same here at 30.51. So we'll go with VFR. Yep, that all looks good. So our briefing for this leg, it's from 3 Sierra 7 to K Seattle, 125 nautical miles, 47 minutes, cruising at 5,000 feet. Takeover weight 5526, center of gravity 29.32, 3 packs on board. We will depart from here on runway 33. Same one we came in at, because we are got a slight wind from the north, and there is terrain immediately ahead, so we'll climb out at maximum rate and we'll begin our turn to pick up the track to the northeast as quickly as possible. So fuel on board. Should be plenty for the flight. Right, what is again? I keep on getting shortchanged on my fuel by on air. I mean, I've got 624 pounds on board, and it's telling me on air once 474. This must be a bug in on air, actually. It's never done this before. So I'm going to have to reduce your fuel on board. Customs ready. Well, I'm not crossing any bound borders yet. Not going up into Canada quite. So what's it expecting? 474 pounds of fuel, so that'd be 237 in each tank. Man, I don't like getting shortchanged like this in my fuel when I'm feeling a bit short anyway. Right, okay. So we'll probably have to cruise quite slowly, but that's changed. Our takeoff weight is now just 5184. And our center of gravity is 2922. That hasn't changed much. Hey, right, okay, let's get the doors closed and let's get on with our third and final leg for tonight. Okay, pre-flight weight and balance is complete, passenger briefing is complete, cabin doors are latched and secured, seatbelts, shoulder harnesses adjusted secure, master switch can go on, master avionics on. Now we'll have to redo our flight plan in the Garmin, so we'll just zoom in on that so we can see what I'm doing, and it is delete the flight plan, and you always have to delete the flight plan if you're doing a new leg. If you just try and amend the existing one, it gets all buggy, and apparently the real unit's like that as well. So what do we want? We want 3 Sierra. Seven, and we want runway 33, and we're going to good old Seattle. And I want to, I'll put in 34 left. Great. Okay, and we've got our weather down there as well. 204 knots. So 220. Yeah, it should. Yeah, it might be landing. Might be landing south. We'll see. Broken 5,000. Scattered 2,300. Yeah, okay, right, we'll see what it's like when we get up there. Right, that's our flight plan done. Back to our checklist. Fuel selectors, our parking, well, our master avionics is on, our parking brake is set, our engine inlet will remain in normal. Fuel selector valves, left and right open. Firewall fuel shut off is pushed. I'll just visually confirm that. Yep. Okay. Wing flaps. No. Emergency power lever is normal. Power lever. Get it into idle. Prop is favored. Condition lever is cut off. Wing flaps are up. Circuit breakers are in. Cabin heat is off. Takeoff torque limit will again be 1790 and 1680 for the climb out. Autopilot we will not test as we've been using it already. We will go for a battery powered engine start. We'll use a high start. Auxiliary flashing beacon is on. Auxiliary fuel pump on. Starter to high and indicated. NG rising, it's NG above 14, can introduce fuel, monitor ITT, so we've still had about 97 degrees of residual ITT, we'll see how high we get. Just ready to shut the fuel off if it looks like we're going to get a hot start. So, okay, that is, the fuel has peaked, ITT has peaked, so take the prop out of feather, starter off. Auxiliary fuel pump to standby. Alternators and generators are on. Nav lights are on. Taxi lights are on. Might as well put the strobe and the landing lights on actually. Okay. Radio and avionics. As I said, COM1. I'll probably tune one of the VORs once I'm up there. I've had the doors open, so it's now gone down to ambient air temperature outside. Right. So radio and avionics is all set. Well, we'll better set our target altitude. We said 5,000 for the cruise. Still forgot to turn my timer off. Really gotta write that into my checklist. And we will put it in heading mode, and we will put it in flight level change, and we'll set that for 88 knots. Well, it looks like my frame rates are starting to suffer. I've noticed this. If you do long flights in Microsoft Flight Simulator, you start getting persistent frame rate drop. Anyway, before while taxiing, right, parking brakes off, door brakes engaged, flight controls positioned according to wind, flight instruments are checked. Right, we'll start our taxi.
Sierra 7 traffic November for 9er 3 kilo is taxiing to runway 33.
Still sounds like I've got Mr. He's back. Why does that keep on turning itself on? That's really annoying. Get it into beta, just slow it down a bit. That F-18 part there. Strange place to park an F-18. So this frame rate drop is definitely occurring. It must be a memory leak coming from something. So we'll just spinning around. A great feature of the Kodiak is its amazing turning circle. It does have nose wheel steering, of course. Okay, get ourselves lined up. Okay, parking brakes can go on, and our strobes are on, landing lights are on. Sync the heading bug. Target altitude is set. FLC is set at 88. Ooh, that really is getting laggy. just do one thing which might help a little bit. Turn off that. Might give me a few more frames. Oh, very good. Very good. I'm glad you're still watching. Right. Get that condition lever to high idle. Parking brake can come off. Toe brake's on. Set takeoff torque. Better not forget trims. There's rudder trim set. Okay. Again, I'll try and get it up to 1680. There we go. Just leave it at that. Okay, takeoff torque set. Release the brakes. Leap forward. Zero speed's alive. 60 knots. Rotate. Climb out at 88. Turn off that. Oh, yeah. Okay. Start our turn. Okay, bring up the flaps. Not required. Some heading bug. One thing I might do once I'm up and established is I might just pause it. Just pause the flight and let's see if that helps the frame rates recover. Sometimes that works. Okay, there's our track on heading mode, nav mode. Follow that round. We'll set our flight level change to 115. Bug. So don't skip in your checklists. I kind of rushed through mine on that one and it wasn't good. 1,500 was our 200 total. 40 odd ampere on. Back. So when I bring the prop back to 2000 I don't run the risk of over-torquing. There's 2000 on the prop. We've got 1400 on the torque. Take the rudder trim out. Right plane. Just trying to get it trimmed out now. Okay, there we are. I'm just picking it Pop the autopilot on, and I'm now going to pause it. See if I can claim some of those frame rates. Not sure. What I will do is turn off some other apps I've got running. It could be on air itself as the culprit. Okay. Power switches engage is good. Ah, dear. Look how bad that is. The other thing I can do is go to general options, and what am I on? I'll put it on DLSS, and let's see if that helps. I don't normally do that because it makes the MFD numbers blur, PFD numbers blur. Yeah, that's still quite poor frame rates. Gotta be a memory leak. I know there's a thread on the official forums about it. I haven't really read it. I'll have to look at what they're saying, but yeah, I have noticed it affecting units when you do these longer flights. Anything over an hour. And of course you really notice it when you're close to the ground. And there's more terrain and more work for the processor to do. Of course, it could be the fact that I'm streaming. This is the Saddle Mountain coming up. Yeah, we're cruising at about 150 knots and picking up a bit of turbulence coming over the terrain. This is the highest feature on our route. Once we clear that, we could drop lower. not had a lot of airspace management to worry about so far. We had Class Charlie around Portland from our initial departure from Pearson Field. Sits right in the middle of the Class Charlie, but thanks to our co-pilot, he got his flight following, which in this ATC in the simulator is the same as getting clearance to transition to Class Charlie. For this though, of course, we're coming into Seattle, Class Bravo Airport, and just having a look. So the first part of the shelf begins at 5,000, the next is 3,000, and then once we're in pretty close at surface, so we can probably drop down to like 2,500, stay at the Class Bravo as much as possible. We'll come in underneath the shelves as we're going over Lakewood. We'll just be passing to the west of McCord and Grey just before that. There is a restricted bit of airspace that we have to be careful of. Yeah, we've got to avoid that because it goes up to 14,000 feet, which is the Rainer MOA. So we'll just thread a route around that. Yeah, there's quite a concentration of military military bases and airfields there. So yeah, we'll just go a little bit closer to Olympia Regional when we get up there. Skirt around. Still a bit of the ATIS for Seattle Tacoma is 118.00, so we'll get that tuned in on COM2. Which we should be able to pick up from about 60 miles out. And that'll let us know whether we're landing north or south. I never used to have this problem. I used to be able to do lots and lots of back-to-back flights without, you know, hops like this and on air, without flying for several hours at a time without getting this loss in performance. So I'm going to have to investigate what's going on, find out if it's any of the add-ons that I'm using. None of them should, but you never know. It's complicated software. £214 per hour. Yep, don't really want to go any faster than that. I don't have a massive amount of fuel on board. We will look at what the fuel's saying. Yeah, 187 nautical miles. I've got about 95 to go. Okay, well, you know, it's lower than I'd want. I'd love a... Well, actually, I probably wouldn't want a coffee. It's quite late here where I am, and it would keep me awake. It'd have to be a decaf. I'm just looking to see if I can find any music that I can put on that won't get my video slapped with a copyright notice, because that's happened to me before. Long flight, like to put tunes on. AeroPress. I've never tried an AeroPress actually. I've got an old-fashioned, proper sort of like espresso machine, a steamer, which is a good Italian thing. It's a bit of effort making stuff with it. Like to, it's amazing actually. Like I've got a grinder as well, and buy different beans, and it's amazing how much difference the grind makes to the quality of the coffee, the espresso. Hey there, if you've just joined on the leg 3 of 3, heading to Seattle Tacoma International in the Kodiak 100. Carrying 3 passengers, flying in on air. Last 2 landings have been 2 for the small fields, but now we're going to the 3rd and final, a nice big one to finish at. Sadly, I seem to have a memory leak of some sort, which is affecting my frame rate. So normally I get very smooth 60 frames per second in Ultra. I'm not getting that at the moment. Not quite sure why. Something to do with the length of time I've been streaming. Well, let's tune a VFR. We can tune the Olympia Vortac on 113.4. Not been using any radio navigation so far, just been doing everything either visually or with the GPS flight plan. But never harm in tuning the VFR. Yeah, there we've got Olympia OLM. 42 miles. Weather still looks good here. Yeah, I mean, we did have a forecast at Seattle talking about a ceiling of 5,000. Just see if that's still the case. Just checking a real world weather source, because it now matches very closely in Flight Simulator, certainly for METAR and TAS. So just looking at that, what it's saying now, it's 6 knots at 280, so it swung around to the north a bit, which should give us 3 landing on north landings on runway 34, and we've got ceiling at 15,000 broken, scattered at 2,600, and a few at 2,000. Maybe a bit of a crosswind landing if that wind holds. And the Microsoft Flight Simulator, even the gentlest of crosswind landings can be fun. Oh, here we go. Okay, there's information India. So they are landing north, and it is interesting that they're talking about sealing at 5,000, which is different from the real world forecast quite significantly. But obviously, what it says in the sim is what goes. Let's just see where we are. So you can see the mast just flying over there. That's on the VFR charts, and that is appearing in the sim due to VFR. We love VFR is the name of the add-on. You get Region 1, which covers Europe, and Region 2, which covers the United States, and it basically puts all the charted masts you get on the VFR sectionals into the sim. It's really good, as well as chimneys and loads of other things. The same developer also does one for marinas, pylons, electricity lines. It's really excellent, really good add-ons, and they've never had an impact on performance that I'm aware of. Something is impacting my performance though. We will put in the procedure now. Select an approach. We want visual 3-4 left, and we'll take it straight. That can stay as it is, and we'll activate it. Okay. That'll just bring us in for a 3-mile final. Now we've cleared all the significant terrain. Now we've come in an Olympic State National Park area. Oh, it was actually was it the Lewis and Clark National Wildlife Refuge? Well, I'm not really sure actually. That was a bit of a ways back. But we can drop down a bit now, I think. So we're on an easterly track. So we'll take an altitude of 3,000. I'll actually take 3,200 just to avoid the round numbers. So that's VS on indicated 700 feet per minute. Descent. shouldn't need to adjust torque. We'll just let the speed climb up as we ascend down. I'm doing this now just to so we can see a bit more of the ground, and also so we're set up for coming in under the Bravo shelf when we get closer to Seattle Bravo. I'm really bummed about this laggy frame rate. Okay, there we are, coming up 1,000 feet. Yeah, and we're just descending at 168 knots. Now Mike, I'm guessing you like coffee, given that your handle is Mike Coffee. My dials are blurry now as well because of the DLS S on, which is supposed to give you much superior frame rates, and it does normally actually get an extra 20 frame rate, 20 FPS. More of a hobby, yeah. It's yeah, it does make things blurry, doesn't it? I'm gonna take it off. It's not doing me any good in terms of getting rid of that lag. Just go back to TA8. Just not while I'm here. I'm on high actually, not even on ultra. I mean, the only other thing I could do is drop the screen resolution, but I don't really want to do that. So how far to the Olympia VFR? 16.5 nautical miles. Just crossing the Chalice River. There's the Chalice River there. What that big building is down in there. It's the UNFI Distribution Centre. Well, that sounds exciting. That's the town of Ford's Prairie. We just gone over. What do you mean by running on default? Is that sort of... I don't use any of the NVIDIA recommended settings because they're just they're crazy. They don't really give you better. Well, they're just too low. good. We can actually see the restricted airspace starting to come up on the MFD. That's the bit that we want to skirt around rather than flying straight through. Aye, right, yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean about that. Glimmering and things. I used to get that on my previous setup. I mean, I thought I'd arrived at a really nice, you know, balanced setup, good performance, no funny artifacts, but yeah, this lagging that's been going on is definitely worse than I've had for a long time. So I've got 280 pounds of fuel, 186. $139 and I have 41 basically to go. I'm not going to run out of fuel. I may well get a penalty for landing with less than my reserve in on air, but oh well. Just watching that VFR needle start to swing round as we're tracking up towards the Olympia VFR. It's just off to our left here. So what I'm going to do is I'll sync the heading bug, I'll go into heading mode, and I'll just set a heading of about, well, north. And that'll help us thread around this restricted airspace. Tuning the Seattle VFR now on nav 2, it's 116.8. I've also still got Seattle ADIS tuned on COM 2. I will pick that up if I need to. So we should have Seattle now, and we do. Seattle is 40 nautical miles. Be interesting trying to land it with this laggy performance. Well, it didn't make any difference turning this off, so I'm going to turn it back on, which is traffic injector, some live traffic. So Olympia Regional, where is Olympia Regional there? Good to know. Yeah, I had a 2080 on my old one. This is a 3090 Ti, I think, or 3080 Ti, and you know, it's great, but at some point it's something to do with either one of my add-ons or yeah, something we've done in the simulator. I'll have to do some research on it. Fortunately, I tend not to fly those flights as long as this. I mean, I used to do a lot of like transatlantic flights and 747 and stuff like that, but I find that kind of boring, so I much prefer flying the Kodiak, little short flights. You can see stuff. Okay, and I will bring heading round to about 015 magnetic now. Oh yeah, well, it's about the same price in British pounds as well. It's crazy expensive. Yeah, VFR rocks, particularly in this simulator. And when Microsoft Flight Simulator first came out, and people saying, you know, it's great for VFR, but you know, it's no good for IFR. And it's like as if IFR flight simulation was harder. It's not. I mean, you know, a lot of flight simulators in the early days were optimized for IFR because, frankly, it was a lot easier to do. But you know, trying to render the world realistically so you can actually fly VFR and see the things that you know, the real buildings and the real terrain and features. I mean, God, that's really tough. And they've done an amazing job with this simulator most of the time. Just tuning these different frequencies as I pass through different airspaces, but not actually in request flight following anything like that. Yeah, I do like flying with VATSIM, but I checked before I came on. There was no coverage tonight, otherwise I'd always take VATSIM over the in-sim ATC. Okay, we're coming around that restricted airspace now, so I will bring us back onto track. Heading towards McCord. Pretty big highway down there. Let's check what that is. That is Interstate 5. Ah, yes, it is strict. Got to do it properly. So that's Interstate 5 there, and we can see McCord Joint Base. Just that's McCord there. Basically, we can follow this highway. We can use that to bring us in. Now we're coming up on the Bravo, and I want to make sure the first part of the shelf started at 5,000. I want to make sure I'm well below that, so I'm just going to bring up the TAC chart on that map, and yeah, this section of the Bravo is at 5,000, but the next section is 3,000, so we'll come down to 2.5, so we'll set 2.5 target altitude, vertical speed mode armed, and we'll set 700 feet per minute. Arm nav mode as well. Pick up our track as we come back in. Kind of bits and pieces of murky cloud around. Bases seem lower than ADA suggested. Let's see what ADA is saying now. Okay, we picked up our track. I'll just put COM2 on.
Seattle Airport information, India 22002. Wind calm. Visibility
200 foot.
Scattered few clouds at 18,200 feet. Temperature 7. Dew point 10. Altimeter tree 0.53. ILS runway tree or center ILS runway tree 4 right and ILS runway tree 4 left in use. Landing.
Okay, that's not much changed. Yeah, it's pretty. We've got cloud at sitting around about 2,300 bases scattered. You can see the slightly higher layer at 5,000. I think it's time to speak to Seattle approach. No, we don't want that. What we want is where is it? It's still further away. So many airports. Just me, Seattle. There it is, Seattle Tacoma.
Seattle Tower November for 9er tree kilo is 19 miles southwest, 2,500 feet with India to land.
November for 9er tree, Kilo Seattle Tower. Altimeter tree 0.48 wind calm fly, left downwind runway 16 right.
It's giving us 16 right. Okay, right, well.
Alaska 2159er wind calm, caution Ember landing runway tree 4 left. Clear to land runway tree 4 right.
So it's landing traffic 34, but it wants me to come in 16 now. I think we'll select another runway. But it won't, yeah, this is where it's garbage. I'll just acknowledge that.
Traffic runway 16 right, 9er tree kilo.
Get rid of that. Oh yeah, visibility's come right down. Hot landing lights on. Yeah, only Microsoft Flight Simulator ATC could have VFR traffic landing in one direction and IFR traffic landing in the other. Okay, I'm taking the autopilot off. I'm just gonna try and get underneath this murky cloud and drop right down to 1500. Yep. There's quite a lot of traffic coming in. Some of it seems to be landing 3-4 left as well. Okay, that's better. I'm just down beneath that clag. I'm not going to attempt to put my head tracking on because that's not going to, it's not going to play well with this frame rate lag. Let's bring the torque back down to 1,000 thereabouts. Let the speed come down. Seattle up in front. Just going to come 1500. So we'll put our auxiliary fuel pump on at this point. Otherwise I'll forget. I'll put the odd damper off. There's 130 knots, so let's pop in the first notch of flaps. She immediately leapt up into the air. Make sure that airspeed doesn't go above 138. And then torque down to about 700. So I want to get it under 120 now. Now I'll be landing without a landing clearance, because I'm going to be landing north along with all the other traffic. To see someone's just landed on 3-4 left. That's flaps 20. 1,000 feet. I'll just get under 180 knots and then get it 108 knots, so fuel flaps to 35. I believe our VREF was at 67. Approach at 85. Profile here. Check, we got 4 knots of crosswind from the left, 2 knots in the nose. Happy with that. A little fast, but let's try and trim it. There we go. 73. start to flare, pull back power. Yeah. Well, it was a nice landing. Not quite sure what happened on touchdown. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, flaps can go up. P-read's already off. I thought there was GA parking to the left, but of course this is one of Asobo's. Look at that. This is one of Asobo's custom airports. It's dreadful. Okay, strobes and landing lights can go, flaps are up. Yeah. I mean, it's just, they're all so bad, all the Asobo custom airports. Well, I thought there was GA parking to the left, but there isn't. So I will have to just go across and follow the SkyWest in front of me. Gone rogue. I'm not doing any ATC at all now. We are coming up on a runway, so we'll pop landing lights and strobes on. Lights and strobes can go off. Another runway to cross, so landing lights and strobes can go on again. See what it's like with head tracking. If it's tall, it's not too bad. I spoke too soon. So we're just going to follow that southwest in front of me, but we'll carry on pushing down past the terminal, get to the GA parking. That's why I was taxiing so quickly. I had to put my condition lever to low idle. Taxi and strobe, landing lights and strobes can go off. So all this traffic here is injected based on live flight radar traffic. It's a very cool, another cool free add-on. Yeah, Okay, as I hoped. He's on the little nav map as a SkyWest, but he's actually as a Delta livery. Okay, I think we've got some GA parking down to the south here. Maybe, maybe not actually. I see a lot of gates. Just bring it in and park it down in here once we get past the main gates. Okay, I think that will do us here. Parking brakes on, lights off, nav lights off. Feather the prop. The ITT stabilize. Take it out of beta. There we are. And condition lever cut off. Okay, and we can turn our climate control off. Beacon can go off. Fuel selectors left and right off. Pulley, firewall, fuel shut off. All layers and generators can go off. Avionics master can go off. And that can pop the master battery off. Right, well, thank you very much, Mike. I'm glad you stayed along for the full flight. I'm glad it's given you some ideas. I mean, I don't know, On Air is this sort of like career add-on that you can use, third-party software, which, you know, you can really get obsessed with building your business empire, but I like it just because it gives me sort of ideas of places to fly that I've not flown before. It takes you lots of little out of the way airstrips. It's great for doing flying in the Kodiak in this kind of terrain. Anyway, there we are on the ground at Seattle. And what was that? Oh, well, we landed at 58 knots at 116 feet per minute. Rated as very smooth by On Air. Well, I'll take that. And, yep. Money-wise, well, I made about $20,000 in those 3 flights. That's fairly good for an evening's flying in the Kodiak. Cool. Right, well, pop the doors, get the cargo unloaded, and call it a night. Thanks very much for watching. I'll end the stream here and see you next time.